Life is a journey of learning, unlearning, and relearning. Every experience teaches us something, but books, they are like time machines of wisdom. They allow us to live 1,000 lives, experience countless emotions, and learn lessons from minds far wiser than ours. Some people say, "I don't have time to read." But my friend, it's not about time, it's about priorities. Reading is not just turning pages, it's turning your life in a new direction. So today, let's explore 5 books you must read, not because they are popular, but because they have the power to transform how you think, feel, and live. The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. This book teaches us the power of purpose. It reminds us that when you truly desire something, the entire universe conspires to help you achieve it. It's not about chasing dreams blindly. It's about listening to your heart, trusting the process, and never giving up. Every step you take towards your dream is a step towards your destiny. Men's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl Life will not always be kind. This book shows us that even in the darkest prisons of pain, one can find purpose. The author survived the horrors of concentration camps, yet he teaches that those who have a why to live can bear almost anyhow. It inspires us to turn our suffering into strength, our pain into purpose. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. If you want to live a life of balance and success, this book is your blueprint. It teaches principles of integrity, responsibility, and growth. It's not about shortcuts. It's about character. True success isn't measured by what you get, but by who you become. Atomic Habits by James Clear. Small habits, big difference. This book beautifully shows that success doesn't come from one giant leap, but from small, consistent steps. If you change your habits, you change your life. Reading 1 page, waking up 10 minutes earlier, thinking one positive thought, these tiny shifts create massive transformation. The Power of No by Eckhart Tolle. We are often lost in regrets in the past or anxieties of future. This book gently reminds us that peace exists only in this moment. Now, by being fully present, we discover a calm beyond chaos and a joy beyond circumstance. True freedom comes when you stop living in what was and start living in what is. Books are not just for knowledge. They are tools for transformation. When you open a book, you are not just reading words. You are entering another world, another perspective, another way of seeing life. Books have the unique ability to touch the unseen parts of our minds and awaken something deep within us. They are like silent mentors. They don't shout, they don't argue, but they speak in a language that only a willing heart can hear. Every book has a soul, and every page carries energy that can transform the way we think, feel, and act. There's a saying, a reader lives 1,000 lives before he dies, but the man who never reads lives only one. Isn't that beautiful? When you read, you experience countless emotions. You walk in the shoes of kings and beggars, warriors and saints, dreamers and doers. you begin to understand that life is not limited to what you see around you. It's vast, layered, and beautifully complex. Reading gives you the power to travel without moving your feet. It helps you connect to minds from centuries ago and gain wisdom that would otherwise take you a lifetime to learn. But transformation through reading doesn't happen automatically. It requires openness. Many people read, but very few absorb. True reading happens when the words on the page start conversing with your thoughts. It's not about finishing a book, it's about letting the book finish for you. When you read with reflection, the characters start teaching you about courage, the failures teach you humility, and the victories teach you gratitude. The real magic of reading begins when you start applying what you learn, when lessons turn into lifestyle. Sometimes, a single line from a book can change the entire direction of your life. You may be struggling with confusion, feeling lost or uncertain, and suddenly, a sentence you read brings clarity. It's as if the author reached across time to whisper the answer you were searching for. That's the power of words when they come from truth. Books remind us that even when we're alone, we're never truly alone, because there's always a thought, a lesson, a story waiting to guide us. Reading also refines the mind. It teaches patience, focus, and depth, 3 things that the modern world desperately lacks. In a time when attention is scattered and wisdom is rare, a book becomes your sanctuary. It slows you down and helps you breathe in an age of speed. It teaches you that growth is not instant, it's cultivated one page at a time. Reading consistently shapes your thinking patterns, improves your decision making, and helps you respond to life with maturity instead of reacting out of impulse. And let's not forget, books also connect people. When 2 people have read the same book, they share an invisible bond. They understand the same lessons, feel the same emotions, and are inspired by the same truths. Books build bridges across generations and cultures. They remind us that no matter how different our backgrounds are, our struggles and dreams are often the same. So, reading is not an escape from reality, it's an enhancement of it. Every book you read adds another layer to your soul. It gives you more wisdom to navigate life's storms and more compassion to understand others. A good book doesn't just fill your mind, it fills your heart. And when your heart is filled with knowledge, empathy, and purpose, your life naturally begins to transform. That is why books are not just collections of paper and ink. They are mirrors showing us who we are and who we can become. They are teachers guiding us toward the best version of ourselves. And they are companions walking with us through every season of life, silent, patient, and powerful. Life will not always be kind. There will be moments that test your patience, your strength, and even your will to move forward. It's in these moments that we must find meaning in the midst of suffering. That is the essence of what man's search for meaning teaches us, that life is not about avoiding pain, but about transforming it. It's about discovering purpose in the very situations that seem designed to break you. Because when you find a reason to leave, you also find the courage to endure anything. This book is a reflection of one man's incredible journey through unimaginable pain. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, he lived through the darkest chapter of human history, where everything was stripped away: freedom, dignity, family, and hope. Yet, even in those horrific conditions, he discovered that no one could take away his power to choose how he responded. That realization became the seed of transformation. The idea that our ultimate freedom lies in how we choose our attitude in any given circumstance. In life, we often think meaning comes from success, wealth, or comfort. But Frankl teaches us something deeper. Meaning often arises from suffering. Pain, though unpleasant, is a teacher. It strips away the superficial and brings us face to face with what truly matters. When everything external is gone, you are left with only one question: who am I, and what do I stand for? It is in that raw confrontation with yourself that growth happens. Suffering, when met with the right mindset, becomes a forge where your character is refined. Think about your own life. Every setback, every heartbreak, every failure, didn't it change you? Didn't it force you to dig deeper, to question, to grow stronger? Sometimes, pain is not a punishment. It's preparation. It's shaping you for a purpose greater than your present comfort. Viktor Frankl realized that even inside the concentration camps, the people who survived emotionally were those who had something to live for: a goal, a dream, a person, or even a simple belief that life still had meaning. That's a lesson for all of us. You cannot always control what happens to you, but you can always control what happens within you. You can choose to let pain make you bitter, or you can let it make you better. Meaning gives pain a purpose. When you attach your struggles to something greater than yourself, you transcend them. The same fire that burns others can forge you into something indestructible. In today's fast-paced world, we run from discomfort. We numb our pain through distractions, social media, entertainment, or overwork. But true healing doesn't come from escape, it comes from understanding. When you pause and ask, "What is this teaching me?" you transform pain into wisdom. You realize that every challenge is an invitation to grow spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. Frankl's philosophy reminds us that the human spirit is stronger than any circumstance. You may lose your possessions, your status, even your loved ones, but as long as you hold on to meaning, you are never truly defeated. The soul that knows why its lives can endure almost how. That inner sense of purpose becomes your anchor when everything around you feels uncertain. So, when life feels unbearable, when pain seems endless, remember this: the question is not why me, but what for? What can I learn from this? How can this moment shape me into someone stronger, wiser, and more compassionate? The answer to that question is the beginning of transformation. Because once you find meaning in your suffering, the suffering no longer controls you, you rise above it. And that is the true victory of the human spirit. If you want to live a life of balance, success, and true fulfillment, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People offers timeless wisdom that can completely reshape how you approach life. It's not just a self-help book, it's a guide to character building. It reminds us that effectiveness doesn't come from personality tricks, image building, or quick fixes. It comes from principles. These habits are not about doing more. They're about becoming more. The real transformation begins when you shift your focus from external success to internal growth. The first lesson this book teaches is that change begins from within. Most people spend their energy trying to control circumstances, other people, or situations. But true effectiveness starts when you take responsibility for your own thoughts, words, and actions. It's easy to blame others for what goes wrong, but the habit of self-awareness allows you to pause and ask, what part do I play in this? That simple shift from reactive to proactive thinking gives you power over your own life. You stop being a victim of circumstances and become a creator of outcomes. Another powerful truth this book shares is that success without integrity is hollow. We often chase goals, promotions, recognition, wealth, thinking they'll bring happiness. But without principles like honesty, humility, and respect, success loses its soul. The habits that Stephen Covey describes are not about temporary wins. They are about building a foundation of trust, both with yourself and with others. When your actions align with your values, you create inner peace and long-lasting relationships. One of the key ideas in the book is to begin with the end in mind. This means having a clear vision of who you want to be and what kind of legacy you want to leave. Too often, people climb the ladder of success only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. If you don't define your destination, the world will define it for you. So pause, reflect, and ask yourself, what really matters to me? Is it success that the world applauds, or peace that your soul recognizes? When you have a vision rooted in values, every decision becomes simpler, every action more meaningful. Equally important is the principle of prioritizing what truly matters. Putting first things first. We live in a world of endless distractions, where business is often mistaken for productivity. But being effective means saying no to what's urgent and yes to what's important. It's about aligning your time with your values, investing in relationships, personal growth, and things that truly add meaning to life. When you master this habit, you stop running in circles and start moving with direction. The book also emphasizes the beauty of interdependence, the idea that success isn't a solo journey. Think win-win and seek first to understand, then to be understood, are habits that teach emotional intelligence, empathy, and communication. When you understand others, before demanding to be understood, you build trust. When you celebrate others' victories, instead of competing with them, you create harmony. True effectiveness is not about outshining others, but about uplifting everyone around you. And finally, the seventh habit, sharpen the saw, is a reminder that continuous growth is essential. Just like a saw loses its sharpness without regular maintenance, your mind, body, and soul need constant renewal. Read, reflect, rest, exercise, and nurture your spirit. Success is not a destination, it's a lifelong journey of becoming the best version of yourself. This book's wisdom lies in its simplicity, principles that are easy to understand but powerful when practiced daily. It teaches that the foundation of greatness is character, and the habits you build today shape the person you become tomorrow. By mastering these principles, you don't just become more effective, you become more whole. Success rarely happens overnight. It is not the result of one giant leap, but of thousands of small, consistent steps taken every single day. This is the central message of Atomic Habits, that tiny improvements repeated over time can lead to extraordinary results. The book teaches that greatness doesn't come from motivation or luck. It comes from building systems that make success inevitable. It reminds us that habits are not just actions, they are the invisible architecture of our lives. Change your habits and you change your destiny. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. If you read 1 page a day, you are becoming a reader. If you exercise for 5 minutes, you are becoming someone who values health. The beauty of small habits is that they don't require perfection, they only require consistency. The problem for most of us is that we expect instant results. We go to the gym once and look for transformation in the mirror. We practice a skill for a week and expect mastery, but real growth works quietly. Just like ice doesn't melt at 31 degrees, but suddenly turns to water at 32, progress often happens beneath the surface before you can see it. The secret, then, is not intensity, it's consistency. Doing small things every day compounds into massive change over time. Just as money grows with compound interest, your habits compound too. The small disciplines you repeat, eating healthy, sleeping on time, practicing gratitude, gradually shape your identity. That's why focusing only on goals can be misleading. Goals are about results, habits are about systems. Goals motivate you to start, but systems keep you going. A goal might be to write a book, but the system is writing 1 page every day. A goal might be to become fit, but the system is showing up to exercise regularly, no matter how small the effort. The book also highlights an important truth. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. We often blame lack of willpower. But willpower is not the issue, design is. If you want to eat healthy, make healthy food visible and accessible. If you want to read more, keep a book by your bedside. The environment you create shapes your behavior more powerfully than motivation ever could. Change becomes easier when the right choice becomes the obvious choice. Another key insight is the importance of identity. Instead of saying, "I want to quit smoking," say, "I am not a smoker." When you shift your identity, your actions naturally align with it. Lasting change doesn't come from what you do occasionally. It comes from who you believe you are. Habits are not just about behavior, they are about belief. When your habits reflect your values, discipline no longer feels like a burden. It becomes a way of expressing who you truly are. Failure, too, is a part of building habits. You will miss days, make mistakes, or fall back into old patterns. But consistency is not about never failing. It's about never giving up. Success is built by those who restart faster than they quit. Even if you stumble, what matters most is your ability to begin again. The book beautifully captures this truth. Small improvements, sustained with patience, create results that feel miraculous in the long run. So, the power of atomic habits lies in this profound simplicity. Focus on being 1% better every day. Over a year, that small percentage compounds into something extraordinary. It's not about massive action, it's about continuous alignment. Each tiny step you take builds momentum. Each habit you form rewires your future. Because in the end, small daily choices don't just change what you do, they change who you become. We live in a world that constantly pulls us into two directions: the regrets of the past and the worries of the future. Our minds are so occupied with what was and what might be that we often miss the beauty of what is. Va, the power of now, teaches us that life is not happening yesterday or tomorrow. It is happening right here, right now. This moment, the one you are breathing in right now, is the only reality that truly exists. When you learn to live in the present, you stop surviving and start living. The mind is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. Most of our stress, anxiety, and unhappiness comes from our inability to silence it. The mind constantly replays old mistakes or imagines future problems that may never occur. We become trapped in cycles of guilt, fear, or desire, forgetting that none of those things exist in this moment. The present moment is pure. It's free from judgment, pain, or expectation. When we fully enter it, we experience peace, clarity, and an unshakable sense of being alive. The greatest misconception people have is that happiness lies somewhere in the future. We say, "I'll be happy when I get that job," or "when I buy that house," or "when I find the right person." But as soon as we reach one goal, our mind invents another condition for happiness. It's a never-ending chase. The power of now teaches us that joy isn't found in circumstances. It's found in awareness. You can have everything and still feel empty, or you can have very little and still feel peace, depending on how present you are. Being present doesn't mean ignoring the past or neglecting the future. It means learning from the past without living in it, and planning for the future without being consumed by it. It's about finding balance. When you are fully present, even the simplest things, a cup of tea, a walk in the park, a smile from a stranger, feel profound. You start to see life not as something to rush through, but as something to experience deeply. Every moment becomes meaningful when you are truly there to witness it. The book also reminds us that pain thrives on time. Emotional suffering only exists when we hold on to past wounds or anticipate future disappointments. The moment you enter the present, pain loses its grip. You begin to understand that peace isn't something you achieve, it's something you uncover when you let go of everything that clouds it. That's why mindfulness, meditation, and silence are so powerful. They bring you back to yourself, back to now. Awareness is the gateway to transformation. When you watch your thoughts, instead of identifying with them, you realize that you are not your mind. You are the observer behind it. That simple realization changes everything. It gives you space between stimulus and response. Instead of reacting impulsively, you begin to respond consciously. You stop allowing external situations to dictate your inner peace. That is true freedom, not control over life, but control over yourself. Living in the present also strengthens your relationships. When you truly listen to someone without thinking of what to say next, you connect on a deeper level. When you give your full attention to a loved one, your presence becomes a gift. Most relationships fail not because of lack of love, but because of lack of presence. We are physically there, but mentally elsewhere. The Power of Now teaches that the best way to love someone is to be completely with them in this moment, not distracted by the past or fearful of the future. In the end, this teaching is simple, but profound life is not waiting for you somewhere else. It's unfolding right now in every breath, every thought, every heartbeat. When you embrace the present moment, you discover that peace was never lost. It was only buried beneath the noise of your mind. And in that stillness, you find not just calm, but a deep, lasting joy that no circumstance can take away. Every great book offers not just lessons, but experiences that reshape your inner world. A truly powerful book does more than just fill your mind with information. It transforms the way you see yourself and the world around you. When you read deeply and intentionally, a book becomes more than words on a page. It becomes a mirror reflecting your thoughts, a compass guiding your direction. I found a quiet companion that walks with you through every season of life. The experience of reading is not only about gaining knowledge, but about awakening understanding. It's about feeling something shift within you, a realization, a question, a spark of wisdom that lingers long after you close the book. Some books make you think, others make you feel. But the truly unforgettable ones make you become. They take you through journeys of struggle, love, loss, and discovery, not just of fictional characters, but of yourself. They help you connect with emotions you didn't know you had, or give words to thoughts you've always felt, but never expressed. A good book can make you cry, inspire you to act, or give you the courage to change something about your life. And sometimes it doesn't teach you something new. It simply reminds you of what your soul already knew. Books have the power to shape your character subtly. When you read stories of resilience, your heart learns patience. When you read about kindness, your mind opens to compassion. When you read about courage, you begin to face your own fears differently. Each story leaves a trace, a gentle influence that molds your way of thinking and behaving. Without even realizing it, your thoughts become deeper, your heart becomes softer, and your actions become more intentional. That's how transformation begins. Silently, sentence by sentence. The experience of reading is also deeply personal. The same book can mean different things to different people, depending on where they are in life. You might read a book today and feel inspired, then read it again years later and find entirely new meaning. Books grow with you. What once felt like a simple story might later reveal layers of wisdom you weren't ready to understand before. That's the beauty of deep reading. It evolves as you evolve. It meets you where you are and gently pulls you higher. Books also teach empathy. When you read about people from different cultures, backgrounds, or eras, you step into their lives. You see the world through their eyes, feel their emotions, and understand their struggles. This expands your heart and softens your judgments. You begin to see that while our experiences differ, our humanity is the same. Reading broadens your perspective and helps you appreciate the diversity and depth of human existence. It's like traveling the world without leaving your chair. Every story you read adds another dimension to your understanding of life. A powerful book can also be a quiet healer. When you are hurting, reading someone else's words can feel like they were written just for you. You realize that you are not alone in your struggles, that others have felt the same fear, confusion, or pain and found a way through it. Words have a soothing power. They remind us that healing is possible, that change is possible, and that we can always begin again. Books don't just inform, they transform. They shape your beliefs, nurture your hope, and awaken your purpose. The greatest authors don't merely write with ink, they write with insight, with emotion, with truth. Their words enter your mind but settle in your heart. And once a book truly touches your soul, you never see life the same way again. Because the real impact of reading is not what happens while you read, it's what happens after. The lessons echo, the insights stay, and you emerge with a new depth of understanding that silently guides every step forward. Success in life is not about how much you read, but how deeply you apply what you learn. Knowledge without action is like a seed that is never planted. It holds potential but bears no fruit. The real power of reading lies in living the wisdom you gain. Many people consume hundreds of books, quotes, and ideas, yet their lives remain the same. It's not because they don't understand, it's because they don't practice. True growth begins when the pages you read start showing up in the choices you make every day. Reading can fill your mind, but reflection fills your heart in there. When you take time to pause after reading something meaningful and ask yourself, how can this apply to me? You transform information into insight. You begin to notice patterns in your thoughts, emotions, and actions that need shifting. For instance, reading about patience means little if you still lose your temper easily. But when you consciously pause in a moment of frustration, remember what you read, and choose calmness, that's when the real magic happens. Knowledge becomes wisdom only through experience. Application also demands humility. You must be willing to accept that you don't know everything and that every book, every author, every line might have something new to teach you. The ego often resists change. It wants to appear intelligent without truly evolving. But when you read with openness and practice with sincerity, the lessons sink deeper. You stop reading for appearance and start reading for transformation. Each lesson you live, even imperfectly, builds strength and character that no book alone can give you. Consistency is another key. Applying wisdom isn't a one-time act, it's a lifelong process. You may understand a principle today, but living it daily requires discipline. Think of it like exercise. You don't become fit after one workout. You become fit by showing up again and again. Similarly, the personal growth through reading happens when you repeatedly align your actions with what you learn. Small daily choices, being kind, forgiving, grateful, or focused, compound into lasting change. Over time, your behavior begins to reflect the wisdom you once only admired on paper. One of the greatest misunderstandings about knowledge is that it automatically guarantees success. It doesn't. Knowing the path and walking the path are two different things. Many people read about leadership but struggle to lead, read about mindfulness but rarely practice being present, or read about gratitude but constantly complain. The bridge between learning and transformation is at action. Without walking that bridge, wisdom remains trapped in words. It's also important to remember that application doesn't mean perfection. You'll make mistakes. You'll forget lessons and fall back into old patterns. But every time you remember and realign, you strengthen your awareness. Growth is not a straight line, it's a spiral. You keep revisiting the same truths, each time at a deeper level. That's how real change feels slow, subtle, and often invisible until one day you realize you're not the same person you were before. Finally, when you begin applying what you read, life becomes your greatest classroom. Every challenge becomes a test of your learning. Every success becomes a reflection of your consistency. You realize that books are not meant to be worshipped, but to be lived. Their words become alive through your actions. When you practice what you learn, even imperfectly, you begin to embody the very wisdom that once inspired you. And that's when knowledge transforms into character, and reading transforms into a life of meaning. Make reading a daily ritual, because every page you turn brings you closer to wisdom, peace, and purpose. Reading is not just an activity. It is a sacred habit that nurtures your soul and expands your mind. In the same way your body needs nourishment every day, your mind too needs food. And books are that nourishment. When you make reading a consistent part of your life, it becomes more than a hobby. It becomes a form of meditation, reflection, and growth. It's a quiet conversation with wisdom that deepens your understanding of yourself and the world. Building a reading habit isn't about the number of books you finish. It's about the number of lessons you live. Even 10 minutes of intentional reading each day can bring profound transformation. Imagine beginning your morning by reading something inspiring. It sets the tone for your entire day. Or ending your night with a few pages of reflection. It calms your mind before you sleep. Reading daily doesn't just fill your mind with information, it gently shapes your perspective, your emotions, and your inner peace. But to make reading a ritual, consistency matters more than intensity. It's not about reading for hours on weekends. It's about showing up every day, even for a few minutes. When you read regularly, it becomes a rhythm, a part of who you are. Over time, you start craving that quiet moment with your book, that pause from the noise of the world. The pages become your sanctuary, a space where you can escape chaos, find balance, and reconnect with what truly matters. Books have an incredible power to reset your mind. Just like meditation clears the mental clutter, reading offers clarity. When life feels confusing or overwhelming, opening a book can feel like opening a window. Suddenly, light and air enter your thoughts. The words of great thinkers and writers act as reminders of timeless truths, patience, kindness, humility, faith. They anchor you when the world tries to pull you in every direction. That's why making reading a ritual is so essential. It becomes your daily grounding practice, a way to stay centered amidst constant change. When reading becomes part of your daily life, it also shapes your identity. You begin to think differently, speak differently, and even act differently. Books slowly rewire your thinking. They make you calmer, wiser, and more compassionate. They teach you to listen more and judge less. Over time, you notice that you handle challenges more gracefully because you've read stories of resilience. You face fears more courageously because you've absorbed lessons on courage. And you love more deeply because you've read words that awakened your empathy. Reading daily also builds discipline. It teaches patience in a world addicted to speed. We scroll endlessly, but rarely sit with something long enough to understand it deeply. A daily reading ritual trains your mind to focus, to slow down, and to enjoy stillness. It teaches you that meaningful growth comes from consistency, not rush. Every time you read a few pages, instead of scrolling aimlessly, you are choosing progress over distraction. There's also a quiet joy in returning to your books every day, like meeting an old friend who always understands you. Some days you read to learn, Other days you read to heal. Sometimes you'll find answers to your questions, and other times the courage to keep asking them. That's what makes reading a ritual of self-discovery. It meets you exactly where you are every single day. So make reading a sacred part of your daily routine. Let it be the first thing that inspires you in the morning and the last thing that soothes you at night. Over time, you'll realize that books are not just companions. They are quiet teachers, lifelong friends, and constant reminders that growth happens one page at a time. When reading becomes a habit, wisdom becomes your nature, and peace becomes your way of life.